Hello, Squirrel Tribe. I would like to start today off with what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have done, which is basically equivalent to election interference. So Joe Biden and Kamala Harris just flew a foreign leader into a swing state on a military plane during early voting of an election year so that this foreign leader could campaign on their behalf against Donald Trump. This is an overt foreign election interference, the direct use of a foreign power with its own interests, and I'm guessing you guys can guess who this is, Vladimir Zelensky from Ukraine, to meddle in America's elections. And it's all financed, y'all, get this, with your money, with taxpayer money. Whether Harris wins or loses, this should be considered a dun-da-da-da, impeachable offense. Whether she wins or loses, because as the vice president, it's still an impeachable offense. The fact that they are using taxpayer money, military planes, everything else to bring in the same man who's running the country that our country is sending billions of dollars to into a swing state during election year, all of it's a little shiesty looking if you ask me. So here you go, in case anybody needed to see the physical proof of it. There is Vladimir Zelensky getting off a military plane. At least Biden and Harris weren't dumb enough to meet him at the bottom of the stairs and shake hands for the cameras. At least there's that, right? It still does not bode well for how it looks and for the actual illegalness of it. Don't know if illegalness is a word, but we're going to go with it. So just something to keep in mind, that they willingly basically say, screw your rules, screw the laws, screw the Constitution, which we know they've done that numerous times. But if Donald Trump were to have done this, let's say he brought in Putin, let's say he brought in Kim Jong-un, however you say his name, let's say he brought him in, Biden-Harris walls would be in the rafters screaming about election interference and this and that and whatever else. But because they're doing it, crickets for Kamala, okay? Just let's remember, crickets for Kamala is a thing for a reason. Now, this is in Chicago. I want you to know what Chicago has done. Now, Chicago is where they hosted the DNC in August, right? What was it, like the 19th or the 21st or the 20th or the something? It doesn't really matter. It's where they had the DNC and where they brought in the abortion bus. I'm sorry, that's really how we should remember this. They brought in the abortion bus to the DNC to get more women to show up. Okay, so Chicago themselves, I've been to Chicago. I've been to downtown Chicago, the outskirts of Chicago, and there are some places where you would not feel safe walking through. Downtown Chicago, I absolutely loved. I thought it was beautiful. The people that we walked amongst and met and whatever else, all really nice people. The place was gorgeous. The food was absolutely amazing. Deep dish pizza, chef's kiss. But the city of Chicago itself is a very blue city. Clearly, if they're going to host the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, clearly, if they're going to have a rolling abortion bus, you know what I mean? They're kind of doing more shiesty things now than I even thought possible. So Chicago City Council approved, get this, $51 million, dun, 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 again, to house illegal migrants for the next 30 days. Residents are so outraged, police had to escort people out of the city council meeting several times. As police are removing outraged residents, Mayor Brandon Johnson says he will continue to conduct the business of the people. Here's the problem. The business of the people does not include spending $51 million to house illegal immigrants. The business of the people would prefer you spend that $51 million to maybe help homeless people, homeless veterans, maybe help domestic violence abuser, what is it called? Victims. There we go. And maybe help the schools, maybe help the communities around. But the illegal immigrants, at a $51 million, that's where it's all going to go, is the illegal immigrants. Okay, I want you guys to see this here, this right here. If I can get it to pause and work. Dun, 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 dun. In a second, I'll give you a hurricane update, by the way, because that's going to be interesting. Listen.
Well, 34 aldermen voted for the $51 million. It did not come out without a lot of controversy, especially from some black residents who say the money should go towards Chicago residents who have been neglected for years.
Very much committed to a revenue stream or revenue streams that ensure that we are dealing with the crises of those who are unhoused in the city of Chicago, while also making sure that there's room for those that we are welcoming.
We need to allocate some of this money for our black children, for the black community.
$51 million for migrants brought some loud and vocal opposition from the public.
Listen. Fully understandable that $51 million for the illegal immigrants would piss off all the communities, especially the black community. The black community in Chicago is huge. I feel like there's a bigger black community in Chicago than any other community individually, right? Just from what I saw while being in Chicago and the outskirts of it. And you have to look at, if you've ever been to Chicago or seen it on the news or anything else, you can see the neglect in a lot of areas of Chicago, outskirts of downtown, right? A lot of neglect. And that money could easily be used to lift people up, to give people a better chance to fix the things that need to be fixed around the area instead of to house illegal immigrants. When he says, you know, the people that are coming, you know, to our country, or however the hell he phrased it, they're not here. Listen, this will always irk me. They're not coming here on a vacation. They're not coming here because they are entering the correct way. They're coming here illegally. Why are we as a country, why are we giving money to criminals? Because that's what it comes down to. Why are they getting rewarded for breaking the law? If I were to go out right now and, you know, carjack somebody or break into a building or do any of these other things, guess what? I'm not going to get rewarded for it. Guess what? I am going to get my ass thrown in jail. But for some reason, it's not the same when it comes to illegal immigrants. It's only for citizens that we have to abide by the rules, follow the rules, and that we have to worry about, you know, where the money's going and if we're going to get anything of our own tax dollars back. All of our tax money seems to be going to either Ukraine or illegal immigrants or other things that aren't American. And as bad as it sounds to some people, it's okay for me to have my own personal opinion on this. And my personal opinion is America first. And unfortunately, our current sitting government does not agree with that. And the downside here is that the next possible president is even worse than the current president because she is already in cahoots with the downfall of the United States as the vice president, right? Now, people have been talking about how, I think it's called the SAVE Act, how it failed, and, you know, they're mad that Republicans didn't push it through, that there were Republicans who voted against it and everything else, but you have to understand why. It's not that they wanted the illegal immigrants to have votes, because that was one of the things, one of the stipulations of the SAVE Act was they wanted it to make it so that you could not be an illegal immigrant and have a vote in this election, that you could not get a driver's license, that you could not, you know, find some way to make your voice count if you are not an actual citizen, because if you're not an actual citizen, your voice does not count at all whatsoever, my personal opinion. Now, this is why the Senate board failed. And I want you to listen to Byron Donalds here, but I'm going to read them out to you. So, number one, that it failed is because they wanted to codify the catch release, whatever that means. Number two, let in 1.8 million illegals. They wanted the Democrats, the left side, wanted to do like a catch and release, right, or whatever, or stop it. They wanted to let in another 1.8 million illegals. I don't remember if that's per year or for the next however long, but either way, it's 1.8 million too many. Number three, they wanted to fund sanctuary cities. They wanted to continue to use taxpayer money to continue to fund these sanctuary cities. Four, fund NGOs moving illegals. They wanted lawyers for illegals. They wanted to use our money to give lawyers to illegals. They wanted work permits to go to illegals. They didn't want to deport any illegals. They wanted no wall fund, right? They had a weak asylum screening, and they wanted to send $60 billion to Ukraine. And this is what the Republicans voted against. The majority of these things with the, you know, letting more illegal immigrants in, getting them lawyers, giving them all work permits, because what that does, when they get work permits, it takes jobs away from you and I. It takes jobs away from hardworking Americans. And people don't seem to understand that these people that are coming over are willing to do the same job that you and I would do for a fraction of the cost, because they're getting all these handouts from the government. They don't need to make as much money as you and I because they don't have the same sort of bills that you and I have. And they're sending most of this money back to their countries. It's not even like they're making this money and putting it back into our economy. A lot of these people are coming here, and I know this for a fact. My previous life, before where I am now, I was in the construction world, right? And a lot of people who are in construction happen to be illegal immigrants. And I spoke to a lot of them, and a lot of them would come here to work, to take that money, to send back home to whatever country they were from, because that money went much, much farther there. And then they would have 15, 20 people living in a house because between them, they barely had to make anything to pay the rent or the mortgage or the rent or the whatever else. They were getting paid cash by a lot of people. And then they were sending all that money back. What that does is that destroys our economy. We have money going out, but no more coming back in, because the second you put the money out and it goes somewhere else and doesn't come back in, your economy starts to tank. And that's exactly where we've been the last 4 years. The more illegal immigrants that we have coming in, the more money that's going to them, whether it's taxpayer money, whether it's job money, Tyson Chicken, they have a lot of illegal immigrants working for them, whether it's that, whatever, you have tons of money going out and nothing coming back into our economy. And it's screwing all of us over, which is why we have such high friggin' inflation and everything costs so much. It's absolutely stupid. So on top of all of that with the illegal immigrants, the $60 billion to Ukraine, of course the Republicans are going to say, hell no. Like, you got to stop spending our money like it grows on trees. When I was younger, my mom told me, don't act like money grows on trees. We know better. It does not. So why they are acting like it does when it comes to the government makes absolutely no sense to me. They're spending our money, your hard-earned money, my hard-earned money, like it grows on trees, like we're going to be continuously just giving them money for the rest of our lives. And that is not the case. That's not how this works. So I personally am glad that the Republicans turned it down. I am also, I understand how bad it sucks, because now there is nothing legally to stop illegal immigrants from voting in this election, which is, again, why the left, the Democrats, want so many of them crossing the border right now, why they're giving them so much in order to buy their votes, because it's not earning, it's buying their votes. But I want you to hear what Byron Donalds had to say, if I can get this to work, because y'all know how I am with iPads here. Come on, work. Wait, volume.
Actually, HR 2. When the Senate bill was...
Wait.
We need to set the record straight about the Senate bill and actually HR 2. When the Senate bill was actually published, I remember I was at a dinner Sunday night when it came out, when the text came out. I read the text of the Senate bill. Many members in the House read the text of the Senate bill. Members contacted Speaker Johnson, and we were very clear. There is no way the Senate bill should get a vote in the House, because it is a terrible piece of legislation that will not secure the southern border. House Republicans have passed border security measures, HR 2. We did it more than a year ago. Has Chuck Schumer brought it up for even debate or a vote in the Senate? No, he has not. Has the White House decided to reach out to the Speaker Johnson to debate and deliberate or negotiate or compromise on HR 2 and its elements to secure the southern border? No, they have not.
Because they suck.
They're in charge in the Senate and in the White House. They've done nothing except a bill that couldn't even make it out of the Senate. So I think it's important to set the record straight. Oh, also, by the way, House Republicans weren't going to vote for that bill. And that was before Donald Trump even made his view known on the Senate compromise bill. We were already against it when the bill text came out because it's a trash bill. Now, moving on.
Listen, I love me some Byron Donalds. J.D. Vance is great, but man, I hope Byron Donalds moves up in this political spectrum somehow, because the man is smart. I like the way he talks. He says things the way I would say things, maybe a little more toned down, because, he is in a very high position, and I'm just some chick with a camera and a microphone sitting in my car recording videos for YouTube to talk to you guys about what I see and what I feel and what I think. But I do love some Byron Donalds. So listen, y'all, Joe Biden, bless it, bless him, bless whatever, just bless his heart. I need you to listen. We know that Joe Biden likes to sniff babies, and it's a weird phrase to say when you're talking about the president of the United States, that he likes to sniff babies, but it's not just babies he likes to sniff. It turns out he just likes anybody that's underage, but whatever. I want you guys to hear I want you to hear the mumbleness of this, but listen really quick. Listen to this. You ready? Listen.
I thought when I got to be president, I'd get to do things that I want to do, but my staff tells me what I can't do. But I'm going to do it anyway. All the young women, young kids out there that are out there, come on up and do this for me. Stand behind me when we do this. Come on.
So basically what he's saying is his staff doesn't want him to have young women and kids up there, but he's going to do what he wants as the president. And what he wants is to have young women and kids surrounding him. Mr. Pedophile President, I don't think that's a good look. You should probably stop talking and being on stages and things like that, because you're doing very bad things here and it does not look good for you. I have another one here that I want to share with you. So Trump yesterday in Pennsylvania, he spoke to the farmers. We talked about this a couple days ago. Maybe it was even yesterday. I don't know. But he is all about the farmers. He wants to bring things back to the United States. Stop getting our food from other countries. Stop getting everything from other countries. Bring everything back to the United States, right? Which hey, fan of, I agree with. So we've talked here numerous times about the companies that are picking up and leaving the United States and going to either China or Mexico or Canada even for manufacturing and their hubs and everything else, because it's so much cheaper there. Because under the Biden-Harris administration, everything here is so flipping expensive that it can't be afforded by a lot of companies. And it's either stay in business by moving somewhere else or file bankruptcy and close down because you can't afford to be a business in the United States these days. Tupperware did it. We talked about this probably like 2 or 3 months ago. Tupperware did it. Even Elon Musk has done it with Tesla. He's got some in China, some in Mexico. Ford was supposed to build this whole entire new manufacturing plant in, I don't remember what city or what state. I want to say it was Illinois. No, I don't remember. But even Ford is like, no, we're taking our talents to Mexico. And even they moved there to make things cheaper. Well, Donald Trump sat down and talked with the farmers yesterday, and he's got this big John Deere sign behind him. Well, John Deere kind of in the hot seat at the same time, because even for them, although, they are the most recognizable brand when it comes to, you think farmers, you think John Deere, you think anything with a farm in itself, you think John Deere. Even they are like, listen, we got to move our shit to Mexico. It's too expensive here to manufacture, to have labor, to do any of this other stuff. We got to go to Mexico. Right? Which is also why maybe, listen, I will say maybe the Biden-Harris administration thinks that letting all the people cross the border through Mexico into here will save companies from going from here to Mexico, but that's still not how that works. When they come here, they still want more money than it would cost in Mexico. So either way, anyway, Trump is not messing around. He just called out John Deere to their face for replacing American jobs with foreign labor. This is him. I just noticed behind me John Deere tractors. As you know, they've announced they're going to move a lot of their manufacturing business to Mexico. I'm just notifying John Deere right now. If you do that, we're putting a 200% tariff on everything you sell into the U.S. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, Donald Trump, no, that's bad. That tariff is bad. It's going to hurt John Deere. But also, it may give them the pause or the thought process of, listen, what is more cost effective? Staying here in the U.S. and keeping American labor, or moving to Mexico and then having a 200% tariff added onto it? It's going to piss off the customers when the prices have to go through the roof to cover the tariff. Which one makes more financial sense? It's the same thing as if you have a child who is about to do something stupid and you give them an ultimatum. You say, hey, if you want to do that, go for it, but this is what's going to happen. There's nothing wrong with giving somebody a heads up on what the consequences of their actions will be. And Donald Trump says, hey, John Deere, your action of moving to Mexico will result in the consequence of a 200% tariff. The action of staying here, no tariff. You pick and choose which one you believe is the best route to go. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this because this is a lot of Donald Trump talking, and I don't want to get this video taken down. So come on, play.
And
listen.
If they get in, your energy costs are going through the roof. Okay, they're going to go through the roof. You won't have a farm very long. I will tell you that.
I don't know what he's talking about there.
I just noticed behind me John Deere tractors. I know a lot about John Deere. I love the company, but as you know, they've announced a few days ago that they're going to move a lot of their manufacturing business to Mexico. I'm just notifying John Deere right now. If you do that, we're putting a 200% tariff on everything that you want to sell into the United States, so that if I win, John Deere is going to be paying a 200%. They haven't started it yet. Maybe they haven't even made the final decision yet, but I think they have. John Deere is going to, and anybody else that does this, because it's hurting our farmers, it's hurting our manufacturing. And if you do that, you're going to have a 200% tariff put on the product that you make in Mexico, right across the border. They think they're going to make product cheaper in Mexico and then sell it in for the same prices they did before, make a lot of money by getting rid of our labor and our jobs.
Yep.
And really a great name, because John Deere is a great name. I buy a lot of John Deere, tremendous. I'm one of their big customers. I buy a lot of John Deere product as a private person. But if they...
All right, that's it. So that to me says a lot. And I love the way Trump puts it out there. Like, he's not afraid. He goes, if I win, this is what's going to happen. If he doesn't win, then John Deere can go ahead, move to Mexico. But it's already been put out there. It's already in the people's minds now that John Deere is going to go to Mexico to make things cheaper, but they're still going to sell it for the same price. So they make even more profit. And that's what I think pisses off Americans more than anything, is the fact that these companies, they are finding ways to make things cheaper for themselves, but they're not passing that on to you and I. They're still making their record profits, which they've been doing over the last few years. It gets too expensive here. They go somewhere else. They are able to do it for cheaper. and they just pocket everything instead of making it easier for you and I to go out and buy groceries, buy a car, buy a house, buy anything that needs to, appliances, anything at all. The prices are the same or even higher. And it's like, what the hell, y'all? Like, come on, like, help us out. We've been behind you forever. Now stay behind us. Now, oh, I wanted to show you this video, but I have to log in. Meh, we'll do that later. Okay, anyway, Squirrel Tribe, thank you for letting me have this conversation. Oh, side note, hurricane. So my mom, for those of you who care, if you don't, you can go ahead and bye. I love you. You can leave now. But for those of you who want to know a little personal, whatever. So my mom moved here just a couple of weeks ago, right? And now we're supposed to have this massive hurricane. We're keeping an eye on it. I'm watching everything. And they're kind of putting the fear into a lot of people. They're like, listen, right now it's a tropical storm and it's going to intensify, but it's looking like it's going to be a category 2, maybe possibly category 3, has the potential for a category 4 or 5. And it's like, I need y'all to pick one so I know how scared to be. But we decided that just to be on the safe side, because we haven't ever been through one and because they can't tell us if it's going to hit us directly or to the right of us, what's going to happen, we decided to err on the side of safety. And we are scooting west a few hours away west. We got a hotel that will accommodate my mom, myself, my husband, our daughter, our dog, my mom's dog, 2 cats. It's the downside is when you try to go somewhere for safety, they don't really care if you're going for safety. They still want to charge you out the ass for everything. So there's like all these pet fees and whatever else. But bro, we're not leaving pets behind. That's not how this works. Nobody gets left behind, right? So we're going to go for, we're going to leave tomorrow and come back Friday is the plan, because it looks like everything's going to hit early Thursday. The rain starts moving in tomorrow, supposed to hit Thursday, and by Friday should be safe to come back. But then we're going to see what kind of damage is done. The fingers are crossed that we're, leaving and nothing's going to happen. I really hope that it goes more east than west, but I also hate it for the people to the east because it sucks for them that they're going to end up with, the horrible weather. But I'd like to come back to a safe place, right? So that's what we're doing. Just FYI, we will not be here when whatever happens, just as a heads up, because I know people were worried about it. And thank you, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, to every single person who opened their homes to us and offered us a place to stay. I appreciate y'all immensely. I love you immensely. You guys are amazing. And that's it for now. I will see you guys again tomorrow before we head out. Maybe again later today. I'm not quite sure on that one, but that's it. So I love y'all. Have a great day. Goodbye.